209. The membership of Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus includes 11 counties, 2 single-tier municipalities from the eastern end of Greater Toronto Area all the way to the Quebec border, and running from the lakefront, riverfront to north to and including Renfrew County. As I mentioned last night, 250,000 people and the organizations in which many of them work do not have access to broadband. Until we address this issue, Eastern Ontario's ability to develop into strong, vibrant communities where innovation, economic growth, and industry thrive will be severely limited. Our provincial colleagues understand this, and the Wardens Caucus would like to acknowledge the financial support of this summit by 2 ministries of the province of Ontario. Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, the Ontario Ministry of Government Services. The Wardens Caucus would also want to thank Eastern Ontario Development Program, funded through Industry Canada FedNor, for the financial support that has allowed us to update the 206 broadband gap analysis, prepare the recently circulated request for expression of interest, and assist with a forthcoming formal request for proposal for building the proposed Eastern Ontario broadband network. Last night, we looked at what has been going on behind the scenes, how we're building the case for broadband, and what has been happening leading up to this summit. Today is about understanding how, where, when stakeholders in our region will use the high-capacity broadband network we are determined to bring to life. Today is about applications. At this time, I would like to share with you my personal view on high speed. Up until a couple of months ago, I suffered what Jim called a horrible thing. We had dial-up at home. And my wife used to love to get on the computer at night, just as I was going to bed. And I used to hear the, "Oh no, not again," and the roar from the office of our home. And after we got the high-speed in, that roar was silenced. So I thank those who brought it to our area. Also at this time, I want to share with you an experience that my municipality has had. Well over a year ago, we embarked on getting businesses and development in our own municipality. And I went on the road looking for business, and I knew this one individual was looking to set up in our area. And so I went to him and I talked to him and I said, I would really appreciate you coming to our area for your development. And he shared this with me. He said, I will not go to your municipality because there is no high speed. So a year later, we were able to get through application. We were able to get DSL in that area. I phoned him up, told him that we had delivered, and he immediately went out, bought some property in our area, and we now have a $6 million project being started in our area. So I want to tell you that broadband is very, very important, not only to Eastern Ontario, but to the smaller municipalities. I'm at the north end of our county, up in the Algonquin Park area. And I can tell you that that means the world to us. And it means the world to our kids in school as well. I think that if we don't want to walk away here with old people like me agreeing to the broadband, then we've got to think of our children and our grandchildren, and we have to leave them this legacy. So without any further from that, I like so many other counties, Frontenac County sees both the impact of the absence of broadband and the possibilities that we could pursue if we had it. To welcome you on behalf of Frontenac County, which essentially has the city of Kingston surrounded, I invite Warden Janet Gutowski to address the summit.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I feel very honored to be invited to say a few words this morning, and I think the idea of the Digital Summit was just brilliant, so I'm glad to see so many people in attendance. The proposal to build a broadband network for Eastern Ontario is such a large undertaking, and it's of such great importance, I'm only too happy to do a small part. When I moved to Eastern Ontario from Niagara in 2002, where high-speed was available, I found my house on the internet when I was looking to move at this area. Then I did all kinds of research on the area. I found out about the township website and the local newspapers, the Lake Association. I became a volunteer and knew some of my neighbors and what they looked like before I even got here. It was very exciting for me. Well, it gave me also a greater level of comfort to know something about my future home. And I was able to keep in touch with all of my friends I'd worked with in the corporate world at Bell Canada for many years. So it was very exciting. And then I moved to this area. And I got involved in the community, and I saw that there was a pretty stark contrast between what was involved, the economies in the area where I had come from in Eastern Ontario. And much of that contrast I felt was due to the lack of the very limited communication in not just broadband, but the very limited communication available to the local people. A very poor telephone service, radio, television, cell phones, many of the services that exist in other parts of Southern Ontario that they just take for granted just don't exist in rural Eastern Ontario. It really bothered me to see how disadvantaged the local people were. The opportunities for them to compete with the global economy were pretty limited. So I started campaigning for improvement. And I started an economic development committee. And with the support from the county of the director of the economic development there, and especially I'd like to say a thank you to Diana Brattina. We've been gaining some ground in Frontenac, and I'm very excited about what the changes. So changes are happening, and they're changing, and it's for the better. In the past 6 years, high-speed has become available to at least some parts of the Frontenacs. Now my friend who's a retired pathologist on Eagle Lake spends a lot more time at his cottage when he's not writing books and traveling to Texas to promote books and articles and has a number of papers published. He's spending more time at his cottage on Eagle Lake, so he's shopping more often in the local grocery store, eating in the local restaurants, and planning a few renovations. His neighbor, the lawyer, is also spending more time because he can do work from the cottage, and so he's also planning a few renovations. Those are things that are very positive for our community. A couple of years ago, an artisan guild was formed, and the Land O'Lakes Artisan Guild, one of the first things that they chose to do was to establish a website so they could market their products to the world. Not everyone in the guild has high speed, but because they are working together collaboratively, the way we are, they're helping each other to upload pictures and manage the site and get their wares out there. In fact, 3 of the ladies in the guild are running a store in Westport, and they were recently featured on a television program on CTV in Ottawa called Regional Contact. So we're very proud of the kinds of things that they've been able to do because the communication for the community has improved. And in my opinion, much of Eastern Ontario has actually got the benefit of not having been too successful in the past. Having lived in other parts of the province, comparing Eastern Ontario, we still have, for the most part, a very natural environment. Clean air, clean water. We're the envy of so many other areas. And some of the other parts of the province were developed without things like official plans. We know what kind of a difference they can make. Look at the advantages we have today. Think about the advantages in science and technology that we can employ as we go forward that weren't even available 5 years ago. We're so excited about projects like the wind project on Wolf Island. Look at all the other technologies that are available today in the Frontenacs and how we, because of our awareness of the environment and our official plans, we can ensure those things are developed correctly and they're a benefit. Now, in my humble opinion, the sun, the moon, and the stars really are aligning in Eastern Ontario, and we are emerging as a force to be reckoned with. And did I mention, speaking of the sun, the moon, and the stars, that the Frontenacs are currently looking at a proposal coming from a group called Electra Observatories in Ottawa to build a new high-tech telescope and establish an observatory within the vicinity of Bon Echo Park. Yes, when I said the sun, the moon, and the stars, I really meant it. This is a very real possibility. This is going to happen. It'll be one of the top 4 telescopes in the world. It'll be accessible through the internet to scientists, astronomers, universities, colleges, those kinds of things. And they'll be looking at the dark skies through the dark skies of Eastern Ontario. There is a similar facility in Quebec that's having approximately a $10 million impact to the local economy each year. And so this is something that I'm certainly going to work to see and that we can make this happen. I think we're now on the right track. I sincerely believe that the time for Eastern Ontario, the time is really now. And as for myself, my life's back on track in the fast lane with the high speed as of last November. And last week, which was the March break, my daughter, the teacher, was able to spend the entire week with Mom because she was able to access the internet to work on her lesson plans. Now, of course, we ate out and did a little shopping and supported the local economy. And I'm pleased to say I can also talk to my daughter who lives in Australia on the webcam. Although I can't currently walk down the beach like in many areas of Australia, the 2 girls were together over Christmas, and they were actually walking down the beach with a computer and laptop, and this is what we're doing. And so we're not there yet, but gosh golly gee whiz, I hope we're going to soon be able to compete with them in order to make sure our young people have a future here. So thank you very much for attending, everyone. I hope you have a really great day. And again, thank you to the Eastern Ontario Wardens for bringing us all together. Let's keep on track, continue to work together to really make this happen. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary King. I'm the CAO for the County of Peterborough, and I'm a member of the Digital Summit Steering Committee. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce our keynote speaker, Matt Wenger, President of Open Global. By the time Matt is finished, we know you'll understand why he was selected by Canada Connects magazine as one of Canada's top 20 internet visionaries. Matt's passion is working with local, provincial, and national leaders to transform the economic and social dynamics of communities using advanced broadband infrastructure. Matt, in our opinion, you've come to the right place. Prior to launching Open Global this year, Matt served as President of the Americas for a Swedish technology company, Packetfront, global leaders in open access broadband networks and services. He also has a deep background in NGO and nonprofit ICT development work. He has personally been involved in more than 300 community networking initiatives around the world. Matt's experience runs from the nonprofit Columbia Mountain Open Network, a groundbreaking community fiber networking initiative spanning 137 communities over 90,000 square kilometers in the Canadian Rockies, to service as Director of Intelligent Communities at Waterfront Toronto. He's run the gamut from very rural to very urban. He's just the sort of fellow we want to hear from. Please join me in welcoming Matt Wenger.